Good evening, everyone, and welcome back again to another session of our series on FB and YouTube Live, which is the action plan. Today, we are going to be having Captain Subbu take us through one of the topics in his book, The Warrior Entrepreneur, which is how you transform yourself into a warrior entrepreneur. And he will take us through the steps. A little bit about Captain Subbu. He's a army veteran. He's having multiple hobbies, which is, almost 30 or 35 hobbies that he does, which makes him very unique. And he conducts a lot of interactive sessions with people and outings as well. I'll leave him to talk a bit about it at the end of this session. So, good evening, Captain. Nice to have you again. You're back home, so it's good to see you at your home.
Hi, good evening, Granville, and a warrior salute to all the viewers if they're there now or those who are going to see the YouTube later. And it's pleasure talking to you from my native place, from my ancestral house. After almost 8, 9 months, I'm coming back to my home village. I won't say hometown; it's a home village, and very happy to get connected with you. And every time I get connected. With the Gran, I get that energy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I actually become a warrior, real sense. Like, that's a conversation we have. Uh, Thank you for introduction, Gren. As you said, the journey of a warrior entrepreneurship. Okay, what you said about that we are going to deal with that transformation. Okay, just give you a recap about what we have seen uh, the previous session. We dealt with the 5 instincts of a warrior entrepreneur. The 5 instincts are sharpness, then the swiftness, then the stability, then the surveillance, and the survivability. These 5 are the basic instincts to become, to form a warrior entrepreneur. Having have got that the instincts, okay, then you one need to transform into a real warrior entrepreneur. There are 6 stages to be precise, and today we are going to deal with the first stage, Glenn. That is nothing but when I say what that stage is, everybody may think that it is very simple, easy. Is it a topic to discuss? Okay, but that makes a lot of difference once you really understand the thing. I put the word instead of understanding, you should realize what it is, because it is nothing but self-realization. Okay, so that is what we are going to talk about this today, Gren. Yeah.
I the Captain is very obvious. As you said, self-realization, we take it for granted that we know about ourselves, but that in most cases is not true, right? I think that's the last thing we focus on is actually realizing about ourselves. So please do take us through how do you have your thoughts about this specific aspect?
Yeah. Actually, to understand, sorry, to understand this, know about the real self-realization. First thing is there are 3 stages. Like, one, you need to understand what sort of a person you are, and the second thing is what sort of a material you are made of, and the third is how you are going to transform yourself into that this thing it is. So actually speaking, when you understand what sort of a person you are, okay, before that you need to understand what sort of a material you are made of, though it comes as a second stage of part of this stage. Because generally we have seen the universe or earth or any one of us is made of the 5 elements, okay, whatever it is, like the heat, akash, air, water, like that, all the 5 elements. But as a human being, we are specialized with, there is an additional one more element. I take it that way, because we are always made of 5 plus 1 element. That sixth element is the mind. Okay, and the mind is again made of an element called passion. Okay, so this is one thing one need to understand. What sort of a person, that person is nothing but the passion. It is not the person, it is the passion makes a person into a profession. The concept that you need to understand that. For that you need to understand your inner DNA. Okay, the inner DNA is the one, like every human being is made of DNA with so many chromosomes and all these things. The same way, our passion is also made of DNA. Okay. Once you understand the DNA, you are successful in your life. Okay. You achieve whatever you want to achieve. The moment you really understand the DNA of your passion. So then you know what sort of a person you are, what sort of person you are made of, the material you are made of, and what is your inner DNA. The the hook here is many times once you know your inner DNA, okay, many of us instead of trying to manage it, we try to manipulate it. Okay, why we manipulate it? We will see it in the future stages of the transformation. But the concept here is we try to manipulate it. That's the time we get into failures or like an unhappiness, unsatisfaction, and all these things get into the mind, and then it continues in the. It also travels with you as part of your journey of your life. So these three things one need to understand. So how you do that, we will see how we to proceed further. This it is.
Oh, Captain, I think you have really made a very valuable point. I think the most important part of any human being is his mind. I mean, that is what governs all the other senses that we have, and also helps us and pushes us to actually capitalize on the other aspects which are our strengths, right? So I think that way, when you say that there is a DNA to our passion, I believe that that is something that we don't truthfully focus on, or we don't really think that that is that important a factor to drive our success, right? We put a lot of efforts, and one thing which you rightly said is that rather than embracing what we are, we try to change ourselves into something that we are not, and that is what causes the root of most of our problems, whether it be stress or other issues, is because we are trying to become somebody that we are not by not embracing what we truly are. So I think that is very, very valuable and very, very strong point that you have made, which is relevant to everybody who is listening, who should pay attention to that. So please take us on from there, Captain.
Having seen again, I reinforce that what sort of person you are, what sort of materials you are made of, and what is your DNA of your passion. Having seen that, then how you manage it so that you don't manipulate it. Because many times we manipulate it just because, just say sometimes what happens, the way we talk at home is different from the way we talk in a meeting or in a public place or something. Okay, and the what we talk in public place, you can't continue on a longer run. Like, and sometimes I've seen people like they're changing their accent. Like the moment they see, they say, "Hi, girl, how are you?" Like, and I would like to talk to you about this thing. And after some time, they'll come, "Hey, Gren, what are you doing?" Like, like, so you can't maintain that temper because you're manipulating it. If
Right.
you manage it, you evolve yourself, and it's very easy to manage it. Okay, how you manage your passion is first you need to understand the two the different poles of the same line is the interest and the passion. Okay, many of us, many times people get confused or misconstrue a passion into interest or interest into passion. Okay, so the interest is something which is in a very superficial manner, and we all think that interest is nothing but the passion, and it becomes a passion sort of thing. Maybe the interest is an initial stage that actually transform into a passion, but unless you identify your passion, it is very difficult to identify your DNA. That's what I said, the inner DNA of your passion. The simple way of telling you, the two examples I want to give is Gren, like whenever we see a movie as a guy, we focus on the hero, or we also play the role of a hero on the screen, and if it's a girl, the heroine. Okay, immediately after the movie, suppose if you see that the hero is a police officer, okay, immediately after movie you want to become a police officer. That then the straightforward police officer getting the medals and like all these things. But it is very short lived. The moment you see watch another movie, in that movie, if the hero is like an uneducated guy, but he is like a Rambo, or like he is like a godfather, you also want to become a godfather. If even if the hero is a smuggler but does good things to the society in his own way, You also want to become a smuggler or the godfather sort of the thing. But again, it is short lived till you see the next, what's the next movie. So it is the interest. And you can also call that as it is like the infatuation. Okay. It is a very term, just because the moment you see something, you get attracted, that is like an infatuation. But passion is deep rooted. Interest, with the duration of the time goes, the interest gets reduced, but the passion increases with the passage of the time, actually. So that is what the passion, you need to identify the thing. Because I will give a small story that will really amplify the effect, the difference between the interest and the passion is, see, there are two neighbors, and both of them are very much interested in gardening. Okay. One day, and every evening they water the plant. One day afternoon, after lunch, they could see a dark cloud, that nimbus cloud, that is definitely is going to rain that evening. Okay. So the first neighbor told that other guy, "Oh, I'm very happy it is going to rain. Now today I don't have to water my plants."
Mm.
Okay. So they get the water. The second guy says, "Oh, I am also very happy that it is going to rain today. My plants will get a nutrient, a better water." Okay, he had never seen watering as his work, and today he is relieved of his work because of the passion. Not because, if he is just interested, he says it is like, okay, it is an interested work. It actually one more work, but you have some like an interest sort of thing. If it's a passion, you never see it as a work. Okay, so that is the difference between the interest and the passion. And I would like to add upon some one or two stories in my own life, Gren. Yeah.
Yeah, that I think you made a valuable point. I mean, yes, I think you should definitely tell us more of your life experience, Captain. But I think the valuable point you made is to differentiate between passion and interest. As you said, I think all of us associate our passion with our interest. We are not able to find out the difference between the two. And even for me, I mean, I would not even have a clue of how do I go and identify what I think is a passion or is it my interest. Because to me, they seem to be the same. So I think that is very valuable to have that differentiation to be able to really persuade and reach your maximum capabilities by identifying what is your really your passion. So please go ahead with the stories you're trying to say, Captain.
Yeah. Actually, I want to tell two small stories, but when you were talking to me, I got one more the real story. Like when I was in the college, one of my college mates, my classmates as a hostel mates, he had that we had that arrears all this. No? Like say out of 15 papers, he used to have 10, 11 papers as arrears.
Okay.
Okay. And he always looks down upon himself that like he was not able to cope up with the studies and all these things. And boys used to tease him also, he doesn't have much brain. But once I realized on few occasions, and when you talk to him about the movies, okay, he everything on his fingertips. Which movie released on which date, which year, how many days run in which theater, which days was houseful, how many days. This was Rajinikanth Soman, 70th movie, or Kamala Hassan's 57th movie. That all these things. Okay, that was his memory power. So then I started slowly interacting with him and started convincing him. I said, see, if you remember so many movies, I can't even remember one movie. Like 2 weeks back, I've seen a movie. I don't remember. If I see three movies, I don't know which movie I've seen first, second, and third. And it's just a matter of 15 days or 20 days. But when you are able to remember such a data exactly on your finger, it doesn't even think, it just comes like that. It's like it's a natural the flow of the words. It comes like that. Why can't you just take little interest in understanding the subject? Then I realized his problem was the language, not of the subject. And I used to help him this is what exactly it is in Tamil and all these things. You won't believe that he cleared all the papers. Okay, and he cleared the degree without any arrears.
Wow.
Okay. That one moment of managing the DNA, not manipulating the DNA, that really helped him. So
That's
that is what, yeah.
Catherine. I mean, honestly, as you said, I mean, getting to the crux of the problem is what is the biggest challenge. And one, it takes an eye to identify that what is the issue. But as you said, managing it is the right way rather than trying to manipulate it into something else. Because if your friend had tried to continue doing what he was doing, he would continue to fail at what he was trying to do and never reached his potential. So I think that is very strong. But yeah, please go on.
And he is a professor in one of the good colleges now.
Oh, wow. That is something.
Yeah, that's it. And with my own story, like in my initial discussion, like conversation with you, I mentioned that I don't know why I wanted to join army, but it was, I never, even now I don't know how I got an idea or that the passion to join the army. But it happened in my school, like we have our classrooms like that. There's a long gap, one full football court sort of the distance, then the office ground. So one of my masters during the class time, he asked me to hand over some register. I vaguely remember, I didn't know which register, to the office and come back. So I went and came back. When I entered into the class, suddenly I saw all the boys laughing at me, including my teacher.
Okay.
Then I felt like whether I'm dressed properly, like everything. I was checking myself, everything was perfectly all right. But how, like, why they're laughing? Then somebody told me, how you walked from that end to, it is almost around, say, or 200 meters, the gap. You walk from there to the class. I said, I don't know. I walked just like that. No, no, you actually did the march past,
Okay.
like how an army soldier does the march past. Because see, you generally don't walk like that, you don't do that in the presence of others, because the school, the class was going on. It's like a pin drop silence, nobody was around. I never felt that people were actually watching from the classrooms. So I just walked as if I was a soldier wearing the uniform with the stiff hands and the thing. That is one incident. That is how I developed the passion of getting into the army. That. And another thing was, like I still remember, I was in the 8th standard or 7th, 8th or 9th standard. And one of the lessons was about the Indo-Pakistan war in Tamil. And the moment, see, generally, like all the children, when you get the new book, you read, few days you read. After that, whether you read or not, the moment you get the new book, you start reading. Okay.
Correct.
So I was reading that particular lesson at least for 200 times.
Okay.
Okay, it is a matter of some 5, 6 pages, but I was reading again and again. I was putting myself into, like they were talking about three incidents in the Indo-Pakistan 1971 war, like that. But I actually wanted my teacher to explain that lesson to me. Like, I want to hear, because he tells a lot of other stories and all these things.
Okay.
But unfortunately, what happened, that I fell sick.
Okay.
And I was in tears. I was really in tears that I missed that class, because I know that, because next day is the lesson, because he already said tomorrow is that lesson. But I came after the sickness. I came to the school after 3 or 4 days, and he started taking the lesson as a fresh this thing. Then I asked my like my neighbor sitting next to me. He said, "Hey, this lesson should have been over. Why he is taking it?" Okay, and the teacher told me, I am taking this lesson for KR, because my name is KR Subramaniam. So they call me KR. I'm taking this lesson for KR because I even now I don't know how he knew that I was so fond of that particular lesson. He said, because of that, I skipped that lesson. I've taken the next lesson. Now I'm coming back, starting because I want him to listen to that. And when I left the school as well as the college, like that time you have that autograph system. You have a small color papers with the books. People, all friends write about this thing. And out of 100, I would have got 90 plus. They write, I care, wish you to join the army, or some people write Navy, Air Force, or something, or defense, like that. All these things. That is what is called a passion. You live through that. You don't pass through it. You don't travel through it. It's not a journey. Though I said it's a journey, it's not a. You actually live through that. That is what the passion is all about. The thing. So then finally, I actually want to add one more thing: how an entrepreneur behaves with the passion. Now, having seen this, like the same stage, the different parts of the stage, the final thing is, as a warrior entrepreneur, as we have seen earlier also, like, you are always have that exploratory observation. Okay, using that power, one as an entrepreneur, it is not just like living with your passion. Okay, you have to elevate that passion into the profession. Okay. So only thing is you should have a deep rooted connection between your passion and the profession. Because, see, I always said one of my uncles he was a dentist and he was very much into the garden. He used to spend in lakhs importing plants and from the different parts of the country, from abroad, as well as orchids, anthurium, lot of he had more than 200, 300 plants of roses and all these things. And I used to tell him, you are doing it, but why can't you make it into a profession also? Though he was a dentist, I used to tell him, you can do something, it is as a part-time. So that you realize that, you realize yourself, that's what I'm saying, you manage your DNA. Though you can do two things. That can be your money earning profession, and this can be your passion, that actually compensate whatever you are spending for that. At least you earn that money from the same thing, so that you are able to sustain that. The sustainability is one thing. Yeah, an entrepreneur focuses on transforming his passion into the profession. That is one thing one need to do that, and it should be deeply connected. Like as a individual, I am though I was in the army, then was in the hotel industry, then in the travel industry, adventure camping, everything. I actually an oil industry. I worked in 6 7 different industries. Actually, if you see it superficially, like I had the passion of army, then I was into different. It is not actually different. If you connect all these industries, it's all connected to me as a my DNA. Okay, so I was in the army, it's with the uniform. When I was in the hotel industry, it was uniform. When I was in army, there's a travel. So I was in the travel industry. When I was into the oil and natural company, I was into the security and the travel, and I have developed that passion for my bird watching, trekking on all these things. So when that deeply rooted passion is there, the profession becomes easy. It is not a work. If it is a work, it becomes a workload. It's not a work. Like when I take a group outside, I by the time we go to sleep, it will be around 1:32, like in the early morning. Then I get up at 5 o'clock. I do my exercise, keep myself fit, and wake my guests at say 5:45, 6. And I never feel tired. And we go for a trekking, walking, and all these things, because you never feel that you have done your work. So that is what I actually want to say. The first stage of transformation is self-realization. Then how you elevate further, we can see it in the other sessions. The thing that is the one thing. You understand your DNA passion, the DNA of your passion, take a journey, live with that, and then elevate yourself from the passion into the profession. That is what one needs to understand, realize, not understand, the realizing. Because listening, understanding, all okay, higher levels, but realization is one, like that is at the the supreme level of understanding. Then what sort of the life you need to live. That, yeah,
So,
that is one thing one need to focus, Gren.
okay, Captain, it's really great. I think the points you made in this session were very, very valuable. I think you have to set the foundation first before you can go and build the building on top of it, right? So if the foundation itself is weak, I don't think you can get the building to any day stand up and be strong. So I think, as you said, realizing first where you are is a starting point, right? And how to realize where you are is going to define how you take yourself to the next steps and build on that to take you to a higher level. So I think you have explained very well today. I think we are having some glitch in the YouTube streaming. I will check that out, but we will still put a posting of this recording on Facebook and YouTube again to ensure that you can go back and revisit this session together. So thank you, Captain, for your time. I know you're traveling and you spare your time to come on live with me. So appreciate you sparing this time and sharing your valuable knowledge and your insight to the different factors. So all the viewers who came on live and for all those who are going to see the recording, thank you for joining us and sparing your time to view this video and this series as well. We are on every week at Thursday at 8:30 live, as well as our recordings are posted on YouTube and Facebook. Please participate and please send us your comments, questions, or suggestions. which will help us make this series more productive and also help us modify the content and make it more meaningful to all of you. So thank you for your time and thank you everybody. Till next week, stay safe and be well.